Straight Up Fun. I am your host, Carolyn Orff, and it is April 20th, 2022. It is Earth Week, and Earth Day will be celebrated on Friday. Therefore, our entire show is dedicated to the concept and idea and mindset of responsible tourism. So we're really excited. We have amazing speakers today. So let's get started. So we have not had our first guest on in quite some time, and he has never participated in Team Talk before. So here to share his thoughts on the latest and greatest in travel news is our president and CEO of KHM Travel Group, Mr. Rick Zimmerman. Welcome, Rick. Hi.
Hello, Carolyn.
How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Great. Has it stopped snowing there in Brunswick?
It has finally stopped snowing in Brunswick, and it's in the high 50s right now.
Woo! Woo, that's fantastic.
Yeah, we'd like to become like Colorado, where it goes from blizzard to 75 degrees. So we're working on it.
Exactly. Well, you're welcome here anytime. So are you ready to share some insight on some of the hot things that are in the news the last 24, 48 hours, or even the last hour? I was watching some of the things. Let's start with the mask mandate. It's like watching ping pong, right?
Yeah,
so Big hurrah yesterday. People landed and were told not required, masks come off. And then today it's, well, the White House might appeal this situation. So what are your thoughts? Are you over it? Are you one that will still wear a mask?
That's a good question. If for some reason I happen to have a cough when I'm traveling, I will definitely wear a mask. I really hate that when the person behind you is coughing up a lung, and you're wondering, and by the sound of it, they're not covering up,
Mm-hmm.
And when I talk to a lot of flight attendants, those are some concerns that they've had as well.
Mm-hmm.
But they're all for losing the masks.
Right.
The number of flight attendants that I've talked to are excited about it because they hate to be police in the air. They like to attend to us, and they would rather not be police. And that's the way the pilots have looked at it. They have the job of protecting their entire crew, and so that's been a lot of the problem. But I will not wear a mask normally then, but I was always on board with masks.
Mm-hmm.
I believe there's a level of protection that it gives us.
Well, and I'm very much a rule follower. So whatever someone tells me to do, I'm going to do it,
Mm-hmm.
whether I agree or disagree. But boy, it's hard to keep up on the yes and the no. And then, of course, it depends on your state, sometimes your city. They were talking this morning on the news that you get on the plane and you take off from one city, right, Denver, but you land in Philadelphia and you all of a sudden need the mask. And then you go to New York and then you do and you don't. I mean, it's complicated.
Yep. And staying on top of it is important. And, that has been the travel advisor's value all along, is staying on top of the protocols.
Mm-hmm.
So, as these things, we're at a point right now where we could see some of that spike that Europe had seen in COVID just recently here. And some of our cities are showing that in the numbers. So as things have the wonderful opportunity of moving back and forth, it gives us a continued opportunity to show our value as travel advisors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think we should be throwing away the masks just yet. I think we might see a little bit of back and forth. Okay, let's switch gears a little bit. I love that, in the article that I read, are expecting a very chaotic summer season. So do you think this is an overreaction, or do you think at this point people are almost numb to the chaos? They realize that it's just part of travel right now, and the best thing they can do is prepare for that travel.
Yeah, I think there was a resiliency that we saw in the traveler even pre-pandemic. As issues would crop up, back to the bird flu years, that was quite a long time ago. And you would think that you just dropped a bomb on the industry, like nobody wanted to go to the Caribbean now. And well, we see that it's more in Mexico, so the rest of the Caribbean is, I don't want to travel there at all. What we've seen more recently, like I said, even pre-pandemic, with the tainted alcohol, there were a lot of people that didn't buy into that, and it wasn't quite as bad as the bird flu. People want to travel so much now with all of the pent-up demand that, okay, there is a war going on right now in the Ukraine. I don't mind getting on a river cruise down the Danube. Well, that Hungary is very close to, that's okay, So it's surprising to see how resilient the traveler has become, and it's wonderful to see that, and our numbers show that.
Right.
Travel advisors are selling travel like crazy right now.
Well, and I know I find myself having more one-on-one phone calls with clients than ever before, whereas I might have put the information in an email. Now it's, we really need to talk about this because I need you to hear the sense of importance coming through in my voice.
Yep.
So when I truly tell you to show up at the airport 3 hours early, I'm really telling you that it's not just a suggestion. It's not hidden in a bunch of different text. It's me really telling you that I need you to do this because I really don't want you to miss your flight, because there aren't options for a rebook or a bump to another. Everything is full. So it's this, mindset of, let me do the most I can do to prepare you. And as you mentioned before, this is your value. This is how you sell yourself right now.
Yeah. And if certainly if a client is a little bit leery about going somewhere, there's plenty of other places to go. And I think that's the reason we see all the numbers are up, because boy, if somebody is concerned about Europe, Hawaii is a half a world away.
Right. Right. Well, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about some responsible tourism. You were in Venice a few weeks ago. Share with us what you saw, what you witnessed, and how it was, maybe different than what you were expecting or had witnessed in the past.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So yes, I hadn't been there since pre-pandemic. I've been there a number of times previous to this trip. And, for one, it's beautiful. It's an amazing place. And, but protected by UNESCO way back in, I think it was 1987, because they started to see that over-tourism was causing some issues, right? So one of the things I noticed when I got there was, yes, how clear the water was in comparison to the last time that I was there. And one of the things that they've done is any ships over, 25,000 gross tons cannot come into the lagoon area anymore. And that's something extremely important, because what that does is it churns up the water, and then it causes changes in the wildlife. And so the wildlife that can keep the water clear isn't going to be there anymore. So we found that during the pandemic, that all kind of changed, and it changes pretty quickly. It's remarkable how quickly it changes. So that was the big thing that I noticed. Another thing I noticed was when I was out on St. Mark's Square, St. Marco Square in the vernacular, there was about a quarter of the number of people there. And that's really great when you're sightseeing, right? Is it great when it comes to the fact that, well, things are slowed a little bit from a travel advisor standpoint, that the traffic flow is slowed down? Well, there's a balance, and they're looking at the balance in Venice right now.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got some very interesting things that will be upcoming. They knew that there was 19 million day trippers back in 2019 that came into the city, and they found out that they only spent between 5 and 6 euros when they were in the town. So that, as compared to 100 euros of somebody that would stay overnight.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to sustainable travel, that's what we really have to look at, is how we can balance things out. So they immediately put a tax on those people who are coming in just for a day. In other words, they were not going to stay overnight.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what they're trying to do. Whether that can be done well or not, I've got I have a Travel Weekly, a recent that says U.S. plans marketing push to attract the Holy Grail, international visitors. Well, okay, do we have some sustainable issues in our country? Yes, we do. And, it's nice not to have so many people in our national parks. So we have to think about what sustainable is. And it's really about balance, because the people in Venice need the money of the American traveler and the traveler from around the world. We obviously need that here in the United States. I have Thailand who is saying we want to focus on quality more than quantity. Well, how do you do that? How do you flip the switch or turn the spigot? It's not easy.
Well, and I think for years this conversation has been around, but no one maybe has really had the time to focus on a solution. And it wasn't until cities literally came to a halt that everyone was like, oh, look, we now have bandwidth to discuss the problems here as we start to see these improvements in our environment. So I thank you for being here, because this is a fantastic segue to our next guest, who is with the Adventure Trade Association, Travel Trade Association. So Rick, thank you so much for always being willing to participate. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Carolyn. Bye-bye.
All right, you guys, our next guest is the president of the Adventure Travel Trade Association, whose goal is to inspire, connect, and empower the global community to do good through travel. Please welcome Casey Hanisko. Hi, Casey.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you. So I feel like that's a perfect segue into our conversation, but I want to first start with, what is the Adventure Travel Trade Association, and why does it exist?
It was a perfect segue, so I can't wait to talk more about that. But the Adventure Travel Trade Association really is a community for tour operators, inbound and outbound, travel advisors, destinations, different media brands that have a vested interest in adventure travel in some way. And so it is a place for education. It's a place for networking and partnership, and really a space to allow the community to flourish and to
can you share,
grow
like,
together.
when we think of adventure travel, I'll be honest, before our conversation, I'm like, adventure travel, what is that? Zip lining in Costa Rica? But there's so much more. What does adventure travel mean to you?
Well, officially, the ATTA defines it as the intersection between an activity that's outside, so in nature. So it's three components: activity, nature, and then the third one is cultural immersion. And so that can be different for anyone. For me, it may be doing a bike ride in a national park or going scuba diving. For another person, it may be doing, a walking tour from one city to another or a town to another in Italy. So it's definitely different, but you can do it anywhere, and any person's, can experience it differently. For your community, I want to just point out that members of ours are companies like Intrepid Travel, G Adventures, Backroads, Mountain Travel, Sobeck. So some of these companies might sound familiar. So really, it's biking and hiking, rafting, kayaking, snorkeling, diving, bird watching, safaris, any of those, and at a variety of different
Rick brought up
levels.
these conversations and these ideas around how to solve some of the problems around over tourism. Does ATTA have a seat at that table? And is it more conversation than action, or are you seeing a good balance?
Oh, that's a great question. We definitely have a seat at the table. We work with a lot of destinations on their adventure travel strategy. And for adventure travel, you have to have environments to adventure in. You have to have, there has to be wildlife, there has to be parks, and you have to have healthy local communities. And so travel in a sustainable way is part of our DNA. And so it is really critical for any destination to consider some type of adventure travel as part of their overall tourism strategy. So we work a lot with destinations to understand what that means, and then provide education to their suppliers to understand what an international traveler may need, or how to even think differently now about domestic travelers, which has really grown over the time of COVID. And one of the reasons it's important, and this is related to what Rick was bringing up, was that we estimate that about 65% of an adventure travel experience stays in local communities. That's because generally it's multiple days, it's a couple days in let's say a local hotel or lodge. It's restaurants, local, spending money in local restaurants. It's buying local goods from craftspeople that you may be appreciating pottery or, glass blowing. And so there's really an opportunity for that quality versus the quantity. And so we work a lot with destinations to build that understanding and weave that into what they're projecting to do over the next few years.
So could you give some specific examples as to how some of these tour operators are moving towards a more environmentally friendly way?
Yeah, yes, for sure. There are there's so many different examples. What's been going on for years, as you probably know, is making sure not to use plastic water bottles. That's sort of the tried and true, and hopefully everyone's doing that now. Unfortunately, probably not, but we hope so. But then it's moving to electric vehicles. It is thinking about the food that's served. Can there be more vegetarian options woven in, because of the carbon footprint of meat? Production is enormous. It's encouraging travelers to take a train from one place to another, or to do human-powered transportation, bike trips, hiking from one place to another. There's also a lot of focus on, and it gets complicated, there's all sorts of terminology for it, but being net positive, being net zero. And so a lot of that involves it's carbon offsetting, it's carbon removal. And so it's really thinking about how can you either companies will be putting money towards, say, reforestation projects in different places that they may be bringing travelers, or they might do carbon removal, which there's all sorts of technological solutions for that, either through carbon capture that puts carbon into the earth, like Tomorrow's Air is a program we're involved with, or mangrove systems. So there's a lot of different ways that businesses are doing it. A simple one is really to have partnerships with organizations like Leave No Trace or World Wildlife Fund
Mhm.
or other conservation organizations that locally are just willing to putting money towards protection, and then encouraging their travelers to do so also. So it's a, it's a full circle
Right.
support
Do you
system.
do you feel encouraged by what you're seeing? I know sometimes I feel like these things, because they're such huge initiatives, that the movement forward can be slow but progressive. Do you feel like it's moving at a pace that you feel is acceptable and that you're comfortable with, and that you're actually seeing that movement as far as action goes, instead of, oh, we sit around the table and we talk about this all the time, but
Mhm.
we're not moving in a direction of actually doing something about it. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. And I think I think that the adventure travel industry is. So I hope that we can be an inspiration for other niches of travel
Mhm.
to look and say, travelers want that.
Yep.
They're booking with these companies because they're talking about these practices and it's important to them. And we know from research that it is important to them.
Yeah.
And that it's shifting. Travelers aren't just saying it's important to them. They're actually also starting to spend dollars on businesses that are doing it, which is different, because I would have said a few years ago more that travelers are saying they want it, but not necessarily always putting their money there.
Right.
But it's a shift happening, and I think it's a shift in what we talk about globally as concerns, but it's also the shifting demographic with more,
Mhm.
millennials and Gen Xers, and
Right.
they're buying dollars, they're buying different things. It's important to them to know what the values of a company are. They
Yeah.
expect that to be there, that there's a purpose, and that you're being transparent about what your business is doing and how your business is affecting the planet.
Right. I'll tell you, I'm a big straw girl, right? I love a drink with a straw. And my recent trip to Mexico, I brought my little travel straw, and this is the first time I've ever done it, but I was like, you know what, enough's enough. I get it. My daughter leaves articles about how this is killing turtles, which she absolutely loves. I need to stop doing that, because it's not only important to the environment, but it's very important to her. So I traveled with my travel straw this time and I loved it. I
That's
walked up to
great.
the pool bar and had my travel straw. So thank you to whatever tour operator had those on their table at the last trade show. It made an impact. So, but again, it's baby steps. And,
Mhm.
as long as we can all take some of those steps together, I feel like we are moving forward. Um, what resources are available to advisors that are watching to either learn more about this, learn about companies to partner with? How can they become more educated in this area?
Well, you can certainly look on companies' websites to look for some of the certifications or affiliations with organizations. As some examples are Travel Life certifies companies around sustainability. They align with what's called the GSTC model. So if you see that, that's also something that will signify that work is really being done to be more sustainable. There is also, again, Leave No Trace.
Mhm.
Um, and that organization I love is the B Corp and B Corp certifications, because companies who are certified B Corps really go through a really interesting process evaluating their business overall. And I'm sure some of the travel advisors have heard of it. You can even become a B Corp business yourself, which you may want to look into. So those are some logos you can look for, which are
Mhm.
easy indicators. But then I would also look for, our companies, do they have sustainability as like on their in their
Mhm.
marketing materials on their nav bar? Do they talk about that, or do they talk about conservation practices? And then what are they saying? Are they talking about these partnerships with organizations? Are they talking about giving back to local communities and working with local communities, or hiring local guides? Because that's really important
Mhm.
too. So it's really in those sort of about us. Are they digging deeper? Are they talking about values?
Mhm.
Are they talking about what they're going to do on trips? Are they talking
Right.
about the practices of the hotels? that they're going to. So those are some. One course that we offer at the Adventure Travel Trade Association is one that's actually about animal welfare, but it's also about sustainability. So if anyone goes to our website, we have some online courses that are interesting, and that's one that I think can provide a lot of value. But there's other online courses too that you can go through. The Rise Institute is a really great organization that has courses around also DEI and sustainability, which are so linked together, which could be interesting for a travel advisor to do to become more educated about what to look for. Trying to think if there's other, I guess net zero commitments
Okay.
is also another one. You know, do they make a statement about that? Where do they want to get to in 3, 5, 10 years?
That's great. All right. So the question to you is, what is a destination that you visit that made a lasting impact on you?
The one that comes to mind is Kosovo. And I've traveled a lot, but Kosovo is just a really raw destination. It in many ways to me reminded me of Italy. It reminded me of Croatia, but it just had this element of the people not really caring that I was there as a traveler, just that I was a person in their home, in their community, experiencing their environment, their mountains, their cities, and the food was amazing. I guess I just felt like I didn't even really notice where I stayed. I just noticed what I was going through, well, like the roads, and even though maybe it wasn't as pristine, you know, that there was some trash along the highway, it felt like I was in a real place. And so that really just stuck with me quite a bit. I think it felt so, just felt undiscovered, and like, oh, people really we need to come here and learn more about it.
Yes.
So that's one.
I think that the community that you visit and the people, that far outshines for me in many of my travel memories more than the food, the landscape. It's usually the people that end up making that trip amazing. And
Yeah,
and I found this from the most, off the wall destination to something that's, very mainstream, right? Heading down to Mexico or the Caribbean. It's all about the people.
My Japan is the other one that came to mind for me, because the Japanese people are so friendly and just polite and calm. This is a generalization, of course, but it was just really, even though there might be language barriers for me, they were just so lovely. It was such a lovely place, exactly for that reason.
Wonderful. Well, we thank you so much for being here and taking the time and sharing your knowledge, and just appreciate it so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
you for having me on the show. All right.
Take care. So I'm excited to welcome our first guest, because this is the first time we have had someone on from MSC Cruises. Please welcome Kris Endreson, Vice President of Strategic Sales for MSC Cruises, which is the perfect segue from what Casey just said into MSC, because you guys are really kind of not trailblazers, but you are pushing forward on everything environmental. So welcome. Oh, I can't hear you. There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Perfect.
Wonderful. Great. So thanks for being here.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So let's start with your background a little bit. So you came from smaller ship cruising and have made the transition into the larger ship venue. What's that been like, and why the change?
Yeah, it's funny. What a lot of people don't know is that I actually started my career on the, contemporary side of cruising. I was at one of our competitors for almost 15 years on the contemporary side of cruising. And then I made that, that transition over to luxury, where I spent the past 10 years, to your point, just focusing on the smaller ship experience. I feel like I've come full circle in my career. It's funny, I say often that I feel like I've come home to MSC. It's the smaller ships and the luxury side, it's wonderful, but I don't know. I just feel like I'm where I belong. I feel like I'm back home.
Yeah. Do you feel like that smaller ship experience versus the larger ship, do you see comparisons now when we think about the environmental impact? Were there things that were done on smaller ships that weren't necessarily environmentally friendly, yet you see them happening on large ships and vice versa? Is there a difference between how those things are handled?
Yeah, I think we've come a long way, right? In the 10 years since I transitioned, into luxury. And I was, focused predominantly for some of my past experiences in the expedition market, right? Mm-hmm. And so, ensuring that what we were doing, up in the Arctic and the Antarctic and the South Pacific and things that, it was more of an experience for our guests where they could, also contribute to the cultures in a meaningful way, but at the same time, making sure that what we were doing didn't have as great of an impact. Mm-hmm. But working with a company like MSC, where the commitment here, the resources that we have, it really is it's different. This company will forego profits to ensure that we are treating our planet right, that we're not leaving a negative impact or a footprint. So that was one of the things that drew me to MSC, quite honestly, was the commitment to sustainability. And because, like I said, the company just has such massive resources, we have that ability to really affect change on our planet. So
let's talk about some of those changes and some of the things that you guys have been doing. Share with us some of the accolades and some of the things that you've been doing, with especially some of the newer ships to create, not so much of a carbon footprint.
Right. So our goal is to be net zero emissions by 2050. And we are about to, we have 3 ships that are coming out in our new world class of ships. And these 3 ships will be our first LNG powered ships. So these ships are going to be, quite something else. They're going to, have so many different features that really and truly have a focus on ensuring that, we are sailing the blue ocean in a green way, as we like to say at MSC.
Oh, I love it. Great tagline.
Isn't that great? Yes. So, so these ships will be the first. We have MSC Europa coming out at the end of December. So she'll be the first in the world class, and she'll be LNG powered, and she'll have over 6,700 guests. And then in 2023, she'll be followed by MSC Eurybia. And then in 24, we'll have our third. So these 3 ships will be the first LNG powered ships. However, MSC Seashore was really kind of the first ship to really get us launched into that next, phase of LNG powered. She's also very much technologically designed to ensure, less of a carbon footprint as well.
I feel like MSC has made a really strong push in the US market to really bring ships and marketing to kind of gain that audience. These ships, they're stunningly beautiful, and they have features that Americans just love. We love beautiful venues for dining. We love amenities on ships like roller coasters. This just speaks to us as a culture, I think. And it really seems like there's a big push by MSC to kind of really make an impact in that market.
Yeah, absolutely. The company's commitment to the North America market, it's huge. We receive the newest hardware that we are launching. So for instance, in November, we brought MSC Seashore here to sail Miami 7 nights. And she'll be replaced this December with our newer ship, MSC Seascape. So it's just amazing, the commitment to bringing the newest hardware to this market. And further to your point, we just, we broke ground recently on our new terminal in Port Miami. This is going to be the largest terminal in North America. We're pretty sure it's the second largest terminal in the world behind Dubai's. But this terminal will be able to accommodate 3 of our largest, most state-of-the-art vessels all at the same time. We'll be able to turn 36,000 guests, all on the same day. And so again, this is a $400 million investment in this market. She's going to, the terminal is going to change the landscape of Port Miami, and she'll actually be the very first terminal that you see as you're coming back into port. So the commitment to this market is huge. We also introduced our newest home port last year with Port Canaveral. So not only are we out of Miami, we're out of Port Canaveral. And then we just recently announced last month that we'll be sailing year round from New York City. So our newest.
Wow.
So yes, very exciting.
Well, let's talk Seascape for a minute, because there are some pretty incredible features on this ship, including the robo coaster.
Yes.
I'm a big roller coaster fan, but I have yet to do one at sea. What is this like?
I don't know. I'm as curious as you are. I'll be very honest.
I'm just woo. I got a little nervous when the water slides started going out over the ocean.
Right? Yes, I know,
so
right?
The roller coaster at sea, I'm not quite sure about, but this is an impressive looking ship. It has beautiful venues. It's designed for relaxation, wide open spaces, which, we've talked about on the show before. It is amazing to me when we think about how these ships are being designed now with post-COVID tourist mindset, yet these ships were designed years ago.
It's amazing, the forethought.
How that's coming together is crazy.
Yeah, it just really speaks to the innovation that our team has to really look into the future and really be able to anticipate, what the guests are going to want, where our brand wants to be. So it really is remarkable. It's our ships are just, I don't know, we seem to top. With each new vessel, the newer one that comes out, you think there can't be anything more beautiful or more innovative. And yet, we're churning them out. In fact, during the pandemic in 2021, we launched 2 ships. We had no delays in our shipbuilding, and we actually launched 2 vessels last year. So, it's just amazing. By 2025, we will have 23 ships in our fleet, and we will have literally doubled the size of our fleet in just 9 years. The growth has truly been just exponential. Yeah.
So I want to talk about Eurybia, but I want to talk about that growth first, because, we talk about the push in the US market, but I'm also seeing it with your relationship with travel advisors and consortia. I get several emails a week from you guys sharing promotions, mindset, what's coming. And there seems to be this really strong interest in that partnership. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. There are 3 very compelling reasons why you would want to partner with MSC Cruises. The number one is we are the world's fastest growing cruise brand, just hands down, the world's fastest growing. We're the world's 3rd largest by capacity. So, we are a major player and making a major play in the North America market. And so, along with the investment in the port, right, we recognize we need our travel partners. And so, we have a major commitment to strengthen our relationships and our partnerships. We have our True Partners program where, we've got all sorts of resources for our advisors where you can go online and access, our MSC Masters program where you can, get your online training. We have a phenomenal, very dynamic online booking platform called MSC Book. So there's a lot of really, compelling reasons why you would want to work with us. We have some really terrific industry promotions and offers. We're very exciting to launch a major promotion for the month of May, and even beyond that, in recognition of Travel Advisor Appreciation Month. So yeah, we can't do this without our travel advisors. So absolutely. I'm glad that you're seeing that and you're noticing it, because
absolutely. And so we have a new ship to sell for you guys, and that's the Euribia launching. Well, it's on sale now, right?
Yes.
But
yes.
will debut in June of 2023. It's named after the goddess Euribia. And I found this very interesting, because I thought there is something to be said about where a name comes from. Because when I looked at this first, I'm like, what are they thinking? And then of course it's got to come from some sort of Greek background. So I love it because it's so fitting to a ship, but it is state-of-the-art sustainable technology to protect and preserve the marine ecosystem. And I just think that's a really bold statement.
It sure is.
And so I think it's really interesting that you can make that statement and obviously follow through, because someone's looking to make sure that that's actually happening.
No, it's not only happening. I mean, this is the future of our fleet. And, the commitment that we have, not only with Euribia, but our future vessels, it really is industry leading. We led the industry in our health and safety protocols when COVID happened, right? We were the first cruise line to begin sailing, and we really set those standards for the industry as well. So, this is a company that really does care about our planet, about our guests. So while we've got all that going on, we've got these amazing ships that are just absolutely mind-blowingly beautiful. So
I love it. Well, we thank you so much for your time and your partnership, and we can't wait to sell and sail on these newest vessels. So thank you for your time today, Kris. It was wonderful to meet you.
No, it was great to meet you too. And before I leave, Carolyn, I just want to make sure that we talk for 1 second about Ocean Key, because Ocean Key.
Oh, yes.
I mean, this is just along with Earth Day, and just, this is another example of our commitment to sustainability. Ocean Key is a true private marine reserve. The company invested $350 million into this 3-year restoration project to take this island in the Bahamas from being overmined and quite frankly polluted to a pristine marine reserve. And so, now we have baby turtles that you mentioned, baby turtles, that are that have hatched on the island. The straw that you probably got from our booth, because we have the reusable straw. I had to laugh when you said that. But Ocean Key really is unique, because we are not looking for this to be an amusement kind of experience. This is an experience for families where you can go and truly connect with nature, and experience the local wildlife. We've got a partnership with the University in Miami to grow super coral, which is a coral that is resistant to global warming, where our guests can actually participate in learning how to grow this coral and be a part of that. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention Ocean Key and, just really what we're doing as a testament to our sustainability for our planet, as well as giving our guests an opportunity to experience that.
That's amazing. Back to nature it's probably going to be a reason for people to get on an MSC ship to experience just that.
It truly is a highlight for our guests. It truly is. And the last thing I want to mention, because this was one thing that I did before we started this call, was I did a little homework on my own, because we just won last week the 2022 Friend of the Sea Whale Save Award. And basically what we do is we redeploy our vessels to ensure that we're not colliding or in any collision paths with the endangered sperm whales throughout the world. So again, these are just a few examples of all the amazing things we're doing. So I thank you for that opportunity. I didn't mean to go long.
Not at all. This is when you want to be like in the captain's booth, when they're like, we got to change course, guys. We're coming up on some whales. So we need to circle around. I think that would be absolutely fascinating. Not even to see it, but to probably listen, like you would listen to the air tower.
Yeah, right.
I think that would be so interesting to hear just kind of what's going on in that booth during the day and in the evening as well. So
yeah, and I mean, we even go so far as to understand, what their path, where their
Right.
migration is, so that we literally make sure the ships are out of the way. For instance, we moved all of our ships over to the west coast of Greece recently, to just ensure that we didn't, collide with them, that we gave them the space that they need and deserve. So
Oh, I
super cool
love it.
things. Yeah.
Oh.
Super cool company. Super cool. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. We absolutely loved it. And we will hopefully see you back here in the future.
Anytime. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kris. Okay, you guys, you can see me. I'm starting because on our old system, I had to kind of click things and I don't have to do anything anymore. I don't know what to do with my hands. All right, you guys, KHM's Crystal Awards and Conference is coming up. It will be back in 2023. We are beyond excited for this. And here to give a little tease to the event are Beth and Ashley from the events team here at KHM Travel Group. Welcome, ladies.
Hi.
Hi. I hope you learned a little something about responsible tourism today.
I did. It was really interesting. I never knew MSC did all that fun stuff. I can't wait to be on board one of their ships and check that out.
I know. So you guys, I'm trying so hard to say the right words so we don't give this away, but you were in destination a couple weeks ago, checking it out, making sure that everything would work for our conference. So can you share with everyone today, Beth, what are the dates?
Well, the dates are going to be the end of February 2023.
Okay. So block your calendars.
Yes.
Ashley, tell us a little bit about Crystal and who should attend, because you would think this, we say it's awards and conference. I know we don't want to shy anyone away from attending that might not be in the running for awards. So who comes to this?
In short, everyone. Yeah, Crystal is absolutely for everyone. We have something for brand new agents. We'll have something for diamond agents. We'll have something for agents who have been with us. People bring their spouses. People bring their friends, their family. So yeah, we do have the award show. We recognize our top selling agents, but we also just, it's a time for us to network with everybody else. Yeah. We have top suppliers there. We have other of our top agents, new agents, KHM staff, everyone.
Okay, so if I was to ask you for one little nugget, Beth, that's not going to give the whole shebang away, what would you tell me?
Well, Mon, I'm not sure what I would say, but I could say that the license plate is up on this wall, because all of these license plates my husband and I collect when we go to all of the different islands. So I can tell you it's up on this wall somewhere.
So if you have a key to Beth's garage, you're going to know before everyone else. Oh, you guys. So we talked a little bit about, I had no idea that families were able to come to this until we had a conversation the other day. So I think that is wonderful for people to know. Networking dinners, all of that is kind of part of the experience, right?
Absolutely. It's a great time. Like Ashley said, KHM staff attend. So just the event team will be there, but there's also people from memberships and groups and just agent supports there. So if you have talked to anybody in our office on the phone, more than likely somebody from that department will be on board the ship and probably bringing their family with them, so that it's kind of like our little maybe family reunion.
Yeah. That sounds wonderful. All right. Anything else before we let you go? And just so you guys know, next week will be the official announcement on the show. The show will have little Easter eggs throughout it, sprinkled to see if you can guess. And then at the end of the show, we'll make that big announcement. So we hope you'll all join us. But any last thoughts? Nope, we're good. Nope. They've given all they can give away. All right, you guys.
Top secret information until next week. You guys will be surprised.
Yep. Or until Bill says it on live.
Exactly.
Whichever one comes first. All right. Thanks, guys, so much for being here. It has been a wonderful show. I hope you guys learned a little something about sustainable tourism and Earth Day. Like we said, next week we will focus completely on our Crystal Awards and conference announcement. Thank you to all of our show sponsors, especially Apple Leisure Group, who is our overall show sponsor. And join us next week for a fantastic but secretive show. Have a great day, everyone.